All right. I think we are live.
All right.
Just
getting up and running if you're joining us.
All right, we're good to go.
All right.
Check Instagram.
Yeah, let's just confirm all the medias.
I hear something over there.
Tube works.
Instagramming.
Instagram's good.
Facebook works.
All right.
All right. Welcome everybody. This is the 034 Motorsport Zero Bullshit Q&A live chat. I'm Javad Shadzi, and that's Nate Stewart, and we're here to answer all your hot burning questions about all things 034 and any general automotive questions you have as well. Cooking recipes, how to make the holidays feel more like Christmas. I don't know. We could talk about anything if you like.
Some snow would be good.
Yeah. Some precipitation.
Yep.
Yeah. So put your questions into the browser field, the comment field of your choice, and we will transcribe them and put them into these magic devices. We are prioritizing actual questions, not update questions like when will this be done or are you going to do that? We'll try to answer as many of those as we can. However, our goal is to get to all the questions that need answers. And we've been doing okay at that. So last week, I think we still had about 10 questions we didn't get to. We take an OBS approach and generally say what we think and what we mean. And let's get started. Did I miss anything?
That's all. I think that's pretty much all the intro points.
Episode
217, I think.
217. All right. That's great. They're getting up there. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I have recently installed your S34 carbon intake for my 2015 SQ5. Great product, by the way. Now that it's installed, I hear a more pronounced sound at idle, like a metalish whirl-type sound. Can that be a vacuum leak or anything you can think of? Now, so the factory intake works really hard to subdue all the induction sounds, including the supercharger, which makes quite a bit of sound. You're probably hearing a more pronounced whine, wide open throttle, more air hissing and rushing sounds. And so at idle, there's a lot of sounds being produced by the intake tract, by valves opening and closing in the ports, by the supercharger spinning and air rushing past the supercharger, being compressed, air being recirculated around the supercharger. So all those sounds now can be heard, where factory, using some clever Helmholtz resonators and other sound damping techniques, we're able to muffle those sounds out of existence. So you're just hearing your engine in its natural state. I'm not saying that for sure there's nothing wrong with your car.
There could be some other introduced noise if you fed it something untoward, but
yeah, but the hyperbole of generally hearing more sounds is definitely true for every case installing our intake. Enjoy the newfound power, efficiency, and fun sounds from your engine. Welcome to your engine.
Yeah.
Titanium brake pad shims coming for MQB would be very popular. Yes, we are working on those for the full range of products. So if your application isn't out yet, just wait, and we are working on those. It's been a really nice product for the B9 applications that we've released. A lot of customers are taking advantage of that. Super simple, nice, easy product. Affordable way to further ensure that you keep the heat out of your brake fluid and caliper. Hey guys, hope you're doing good. Would you be able to confirm if exhaust valves always open in race mode for the Mk8 Golf R will come with the next ECU update? I don't know if that's something.
I don't know if that's on my list currently. I will have to double check that. Let me throw a note together in that. We will make sure it does. We're actually in the middle of doing some updates on that file as we speak.
Yeah, that's something we'll
yep.
We will work on prioritizing.
I know. the Golf Rs were tricky because after we released, they introduced some additional modes that we didn't have on some of the models. They have special mode and some of them, and race on others, and so there's a couple of different variants and configurations that we just got to make sure we get all the settings.
They're getting
aligned.
S plus for the transmission.
S plus, sure, yeah.
It's a third transmission mode.
Yeah.
with the S plus
Yeah.
here.
So there's all these modes and these buckets that different settings get aligned for. So we just have to make sure we get everything turned up where we need to.
Yeah, we got questions pouring in. So
We are getting swamped with questions.
when switching out the motor mounts on my A3 3.2, how do I make sure the spacing between the engine and the mount is correct? The spacing between the engine and the mount. So I'm not sure about that in particular, but you want your engine roughly sitting, in the center of the engine compartment. This is generally doable by doing one mount at a time, so you don't move things around much. But there is a factory procedure for centering the engine and then tightening up all the mounts at the same time. But again, I would just recommend doing one mount at a time, and the mounts, the mounting holes on the mounts themselves are slotted and have room for movement. So as long as you do one mount at a time, you'll be fine. Someone's asking about if we're doing a B9.5 S4 intercooler. That is something we're working on. Don't have a date for that, but stay tuned for that. Hi, I have an SQ5 80A and an A5 B9 convertible 2.0 T. Will a stage 1 put A5 somewhere around the SQ5 stock?
Hold on, let me
An
read
A5 B9 2-liter and an
the
SQ5. What's an 80A?
A0.
It's what?
Wait,
European.
That's the European chassis. Okay.
No, 88. That's the chassis code.
That's a 3-liter.
B9. Yep.
Okay. So not quite. Horsepower is increased substantially for the A4, and is torque. I mean,
for what it's worth, we had a customer actually posted a fairly relevant video of them racing a 3-liter supercharged motor, which is not that far off, stock to stock, from the.
But that was tuned.
That was a tune. That's what I'm trying to get at. A tuned supercharged
Not by
3-liter motor, and they were basically dead even. So it's gonna get you pretty close, especially with the weight differences and whatnot.
Yeah, it's just the B9 has such a broad torque curve and the peak power. So yeah, I think for all practical purposes, you could say that your tuned 2-liter will accelerate similar to your stock 3-liter turbo. I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but the A4 can produce a ton of torque, like 400 plus pound-feet of torque once tuned. So I think it's there's no reason not to tune your A5 and enjoy the newfound power, and it will be similar to your SQ5. Can you explain what a tune actually does? Well, it's a simple but complicated question, and a very broad general definition. A tune is something that a piece of software that modifies how the factory ECU controls the engine to release newfound power and performance from the factory calibration and factory engine system that the factory left in for whatever reason. So this especially becomes a factor with turbo or supercharged engines, where as a tuning company, we can run more boost through the turbo or supercharger system to produce substantially more power than stock. In doing so, we also reconfigure the fueling and ignition system and other auxiliary support systems that support the engine and the ECU system to accommodate the new levels of power. So You can't just raise the boost without richening the fuel mixture. You can't raise the boost without changing the timing curve. So we go in and we modify all that area under the control of the factory ECU to allow more power and performance to be created. And typically this is done by just reflashing the factory ECU and keeping virtually all the stock components in place, which would be called the stage 1. And then stage 2 and stage 3 involve changing out hardware components, turbochargers, fuel injectors, etc., intercoolers, intakes, to allow even more power to be produced than the factory hardware allowed. So, a tune is just updating the programming in the factory computer that controls the engine to tell the ECU, tell the engine to make more power.
Yeah. Or how we want to make it and how it gets delivered and under what circumstances it's delivered. And then same thing with the transmissions as well, as similar, calibrations and data within the transmission that is set up to tell it how it's going to shift, when it's going to shift, how quickly, and clutch clamping or whatever transmissions controls are in there. So it's just a matter of going in, finding what we need to find, and turn the knobs the way we need them turned.
I was asking how the weather out here is. It's amazing. I've been this is my favorite time of year. It's like 65 degrees. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's overcast. But I can wear clothes like this, and I can go on 2-hour bike rides and bust my ass and hardly break a sweat. Not have to drink a ton of water. It's just really nice, comfortable time of year.
Yep.
We need more rain, so it should be. We got a lot of rain about a week and a half ago, and we need more again, which supposedly this weekend is supposed to see some rain. But weather's amazing. One of the huge benefits of living in California, or maybe the biggest benefit. I was in Southern California last weekend, and it's like 70 to 75 and beautiful. So great weather. I have a new oil separator, transmission flush, new mounts and inserts, S34 SüperDüper package PVC breather awaiting delivery. What tune should I do on my B9 S5? Well, sounds like you have a lot of fun, excitement coming soon for you. You should definitely start with stage 1. That's the biggest bang for the buck. It's going to give you the most power increase right off the bat, and it's going to completely transform the car. So, and it's on sale through the end of the day. So if you're thinking about jumping on that, now's the time. Looking forward to hearing how you love all the rest of the buttons. Someone's asking about a A7 CREC tune.
This guy, the top one?
Yeah. Or so I'm saying, how's the tune for the A7 2016? Thinking of getting it tuned for CREC. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, you're in a good place.
I'm driving the similar tune in my Q7 every day, and like we like to say, it transforms the car. It's the kind of, once you do it, typically what people say is this is how the car should have been delivered. This is the power that the car should have. It wakes up the car, and it gives you that much more acceleration to fulfill your acceleration needs and desires. So you're really never left with an impression when you floor it that you didn't get enough power, as much power as you like. The power will be plentiful. Of course, you can always go faster, but your initial impression, will be that I can't believe I've been driving the car this long without this tune.
This much untapped sitting there.
Yeah. That's a good question. Sounds like you guys have had a great year, willing to share any projects or parts of the business you're looking forward to investing more into. We have had a great year. In fact, we've had, sales are important to us. They drive all of the opportunity that when we come in every day. If we're not doing a certain sales volume, or if we're not growing, then it limits what we can do. We go from being a company that's thriving and taking on all the great new opportunities that are available to a company that's just kind of in survival mode, just trying to make ends meet and get by. So when I talk about we're having record sales and record growth, bigger than the company's ever seen. It's not from a perspective of I'm a selfish, greedy, money grubbing bastard. I promise it's not. I really don't care that much about money. I mean, I need money, and money is a tool, but we're all about opportunity here, and we love leading the market. We love being, the company in the industry that's setting the standard and serving the most customers. And we love innovating and bringing new products to market and solving problems for customers. We love blowing people away by how fun their cars can be to drive once they purchase and install our products. And so that's what we're looking to do more of in 2025. And our fundamental strategy is not really changing. We're continuing to invest tremendously in our tuning program. We will release hundreds of new hardware products this year, and we will continue to build and resource the company to serve this new level of business that we're doing with the new level of number of customers. And we're getting more customer support tickets than we've ever gotten before, not because there's more issues, but because we're serving more customers than we ever have. So we're continuing to invest in the business to allow it to operate at the highest level possible, to allow continued growth. So we're implementing a new Microsoft Business Central ERP system this year. We're
Super exciting stuff.
Yeah, we're adding substantial software resources to our customer service and tuning support systems. We will be adding some key positions to allow us to do even more of the things that we want to do. So yeah, we're looking forward to 2025. We're looking forward to another year of growth and another year of being the best tuning company that we can be, and another year of serving this great market. That's what's going on for 2025. If you have any specific questions, let us know. B10 will be a big focus for us. We'll be jumping on that as soon as we can. And, you'll see us release lots of new products and tunes, continuing to support the tuning products that we have out there. You'll see more for B9.4. You'll see more for B9 3.0 T, B8 3.0 T. And we're looking to getting into some new applications as well. Can you elaborate on the differences in a CREC versus S4 S5 EA837 and why various tuning stages are quite different power levels? Yeah, so the CREC is a really nice evolution of the EA837. It's especially in the fueling department, it has secondary staged low pressure fuel injectors on the intake side, which allows substantially more tuning flexibility, especially when it comes to fueling, running full E85, things like that the EA837 isn't able to do without that.
Yeah. I don't want to say ground up motor, but it's a pretty substantial evolution change from the earlier 3-liter supercharged motor. So it's cams, heads, the exhaust is different, the intake's different, the supercharger is slightly different.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, the rotors are basically the same, but the intercooler bricks are a little bigger, a little bit better there.
More intercooler.
It's got obviously the magnetic clutch on the supercharger, so it can be as long as you're not asking too much of it, it can be a pretty neat setup there. So just overall, it's a lot of the little tweaks and refinements that they obviously compiled throughout the years, and it's a really nice update. It makes more power. It's got more options. It's got some updated fueling components on the high pressure side as well. So it's a really neat motor.
And then the ECU
it's a more advanced ECU. Yep. It's just all across the board. It's got a bunch more going for it.
In Europe, they got the CREC sooner than we did, so more of the European cars are CREC.
Yep.
Unfortunately, S4s didn't get them here.
Yeah.
The A6 did, the Q7 did, some cars.
Some A8s. Yep.
A8s, yeah. All right, let's keep moving. I need a turbo upgrade. Is the sale still going? I think the TTE sale ended, right?
Correct.
Unfortunately, the turbo sale ended last week. However, the rest of our sale is still going. So if you'd like to, if you need any of the supporting modifications for that turbo, let us know. I have a stock 2017 GTI with 45K. What modifications should I do first?
That is some low mileage for a 2017.
Yeah, that's nice. Like we always say, I would start with a stage 1 ECU tune and 034 Motorsport springs, front and rear sway bars, end links, and do the full insert package. That would be a great start. That will completely transform the car and make it much faster, much more fun to drive. As kind of a second phase, I would do some of the front camber and suspension geometry parts we have, like lower control arms, upper camber or caster mounts. We have 3 different versions. And consider upgrading your wheels to some ZTF 18-inch wheels with, you know, kind of the widest rubber you can fit, which I think is like a 245 or 250
For a Mark 7,
yeah,
thereabouts. It's gonna the 255. I know we've done, but it's gonna depend on the tire.
That is going to be such a fun car to drive. It's going to be reliable. You can do intake and intercooler. You can do some of our ResX stuff to kind of wake up the exhaust note. You know, it's, I don't know how much we're talking about. It's a pretty reasonable package of parts that I just described, but it will take your car to completely the next level. So it'll be substantially more fun and engaging to drive than, say, a factory Golf R or something like that. And then the sky's the limit. There's a lot more you can do after that. But, you know, in those cars, you really don't need a lot more power than stage 1. Stage 1 goes quite far. Those cars are really about the handling. They're really fun. They're really fun to toss around. Got to say the B9 A4 tune is absolutely amazing. Thank you. It's just what the platform has been needing. You're welcome. The feedback has been phenomenal. From just customers loving it to switching from other tuning options and being blown away as well. So
Maybe a couple of follow-ups on that one.
we're sorry it took so long to get to market,
Yeah.
but part of the reason why it's so good is because of how long it took. So
It certainly wasn't rushed.
B9 A4 TCU tune, both up and down shifting is beautiful. So much smooth. Has knocked out all that harshness and abrupt shifting. I love it so much. Great to hear. Yeah, sometimes the factory, you know, everyone assumes that the factory tuning is the best or the smoothest or whatever. That's not the case. So we're able to give those a lot more one-on-one curated attention than, say, maybe the factory did when they were pumping out, you know, 1 million cars a year or whatever. So yeah, we go in there and we can really curate how that drives and shifts and really dial that in how it should have been from the factory. At what point do clutch packs become a concern when tuning the B9 A4? You know, I do think we don't have a lot of data points on the manual. There's not a lot of them out there.
Or clutch packs. He's a deal.
Oh,
too.
clutch packs.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, as far as DSG, they don't.
Yeah, we haven't seen any
There's no
issues. We're not getting into any kind of slip at this point.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought we were talking manual. Wasn't there another question about manual?
No.
Oh, okay. I just glanced at it and misread it. Yeah, no, we're pretty sure that those clutch packs stock with the right TCU tuning, with the right clamping force, can hold, 500.
Yeah, we're not too worried about those right now.
Yeah, so definitely not an issue. Nothing to think about. Now, with that said, there are companies out there that push upgraded clutch packs, kind of like how manual transmission clutch companies used to push upgraded clutches. DSG clutch packs and manual transmission clutches are not the same. And applying this kind of snake oil idea from legitimate manual transmission clutch disc material to the DSG, it's just not accurate, because the DSG clutches for the most part are wet, they're in oil, and they don't see the same kind of thermal load or issues that a manual transmission clutch would, being just a spinning disc in air between two steel surfaces. So if if there's companies out there selling these clutch packs, I can pretty much assure you it's BS, and they're kind of pushing a product that's absolutely not needed, because the DSG transmission's ability to hold torque and power is virtually dictated by how it's programmed. It has adjustable clamping force. So, if you had a manual transmission with a pressure plate that had adjustable hydraulic clamping force, the need for different clutch disc materials and manual transmissions would reduce tremendously, because a lot of times in a manual transmission you have a certain amount of clamping force, which is dictated by the spring diaphragm, and you don't have ability to add more clamping force. So sometimes your only way to get more holding power is to use a friction material that has a higher coefficient of friction. So now you get into splitting hairs over the coefficient of friction. Organic material is very low coefficient of friction and low thermal, thermal load. And then you can move to something like a Kevlar or ceramic or these other kind of hybrid compounds, even sintered iron, which can hold a lot of heat and has a really high level of friction. And you need all that because you don't have adjustable clamping force. But in a DSG transmission, it's this amazing thing where you can just type on the keyboard, if you know what you're doing, and you can double or triple the clamping force on the factory clutch packs. And because of that, you just don't need all these exotic materials.
And only when needed. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
You don't have all this extra resistance or load or wear and tear on anything. It's only in those rare, but the small times that you're going to need that.
It's just hydraulic pressure, and you can raise or lower it whenever you want. Electronically controlled.
Yep.
So that's what's from an engineering standpoint, that's the real revelation of the DSG transmission, and we get a lot of that with the ZF transmissions as well. Is they're fully programmable transmissions, and we can program them electronically to serve different purposes and different performance needs. You can't do that with a manual transmission.
and not, I would say most calibrations out there don't do that. That's why you see these aftermarket hard parts that are trying to solve a problem that doesn't need to be solved.
Yeah, and if you have a improperly engineered TCU tune that doesn't increase clamping force properly, you may need to resort to other disc compounds. But that's why I just spent 5 minutes talking about this to clear up any misconceptions about that. Any chances of leaning out on a B9 Stage 1 tune in colder weather?
No, there's plenty of overhead in that system to hit targets.
We build in that extra capacity, and we can lower boost pressure to also control lean conditions and things like that. So no, the tune is safe at all
stage
temperature conditions. Is it possible to switch TCUs from an earlier model to have the ability to tune the TCU 23 RS5 here? Thank you for your amazing products.
We're getting this question pretty regularly these days, but yes, you can convert to a earlier controller if you want to get a tune on there now. It is doable. You need to have find a valve body or mech unit from an earlier model that can be flashed. But yes, it is doable. You have to do mobilizer match and whatnot through Otis, but it certainly can be done.
Yeah. How often should I change spark plugs on Stage 2 B9 Audi S5? Also, should I change transmission fluid even though it's a lifetime fluid currently approaching 50,000 miles? So for plugs, generally we recommend on Stage 1, it's the Stage 2, change every 15 to 25,000 miles. On Stage 3, could be from 3 to 10,000. Stage 3 is much more load, much harder on the plugs, and at the hint of a misfire or anything like that, you should definitely look at your plugs immediately. Generally for ZF8 transmission fluids, every 50 to 70,000 miles is good. It's not necessarily a lifetime fluid. It's a lifetime of the warranty fluid.
It's a warranty lifetime fluid.
So once the warranty's over, they don't really care what happens after that. So Audi's perspective of lifetime is during the warranty period. And, you know, you can definitely get through the warranty period. But it's a good idea to do it. And you can do it sooner. It's not that expensive or hard to do. Well, CREC gets similar block updates like the MLS head gasket, studs, valves, pistons, front main seal upgrades. Also, what about tuning the Porsche Cayenne hybrid with the Audi EA837? I don't think we've talked about the Cayenne much. However, we are continually developing for the CREC, so that's something that you may see from us. Stay tuned. I don't know off the top of my head what we have in the works. Hi, B9.5 S4 93 octane tune, but I'm experiencing a lot of wheel hop. Any way to combat wheel hop? On an S4?
I mean, that's,
Yeah, it's
Is that a
pretty
thing?
common
Yeah.
stock suspension.
yeah, that's just gonna say it's usually a suspension thing and mounts, and you know, depending on the health of your control arm bushings and that kind of thing, can certainly exacerbate that.
For the most part, springs cuts a lot of it out.
Yeah, our Dynamic Plus springs will help with that for certain. If you have loose motor mounts or worn out motor mounts or factory motor mounts, that will help, you know, help with the system oscillating.
Yeah, anything that allows those big movements to kind of load up and then pop.
Yeah.
So all that driveline slop, as the engine and the transmission mounts will kind of like torque, and then they finally release, and you get a big oscillation in there.
Yeah, it's a lack of damping, you know, in the system. And then make sure your control arms are good. We do offer Dynamic Plus control arm kits and density control arm kits for those as well. And then, you know, all of our inserts, especially the transmission insert, stage 1 and stage 2, should help.
Yep.
Beyond that, you know, dialing in your launch speed.
So your launch, how much you load
launch
for
RPM,
launch, and you know, whatever the conditions are, it may take a little bit of playing with to get that combination to be as smooth as possible.
Recently, I had a front-end collision in my B8.5 3.0 T, so planning for cooler upgrades. What are suggestions for heat exchanger radiator and supercharger intercooler setups? It will get a stage 1 tune. Well, glad to hear you're making the best of it.
Lemons and a lemonade here.
Yeah, I mean, we recommend all of the 034 catalog as far as we do offer a coolant radiator for those. We offer a really nice front supercharger heat exchanger for those as well. So that's what we would recommend, and then the tuning will certainly
You'll be in a really good position.
be good. You'll be in good tuning shape for that. Cool, you know, as far as coolant and I'm sure you're gonna have to replace all that stuff anyways. Good morning. After going stage 1 plus on my RS5, going to stage 2 plus when adding downpipes to the car, why does this not add more power to the car? Yeah, so you know, the RS5 comes with 2 very big KLi converters from the factory, whereas the S4 only has 1 big one, but it does not have the same flow capacity as the 2 units that the RS5 comes with. And so in all of our testing and stage 2, the factory cats flowed enough to max out the factory turbocharger at those boost levels. And so instead of making up something about how it makes more power, we decided to be honest and transparent and just simply report that there is really no power gain.
Yeah, it's not a huge adder
by going you know, stage 2 plus or whatever. So we don't even offer a stage 2 for the RS5. I mean, do we end
I
up
think we ended up making
something?
one out of a market demand essentially, but
Yeah.
you know, we did not for a long time because there was no reason.
Yeah, so we ended up releasing it because people really wanted to have a stage 2, although we're just honest about the power levels. I would say any other tuner that's saying that there's power increases, I would question that because we were not able to measure it.
Yep.
Again, given the fact that the 2 factory KLi converters flow plenty for the twin turbo system. We wished we did. We pushed it as hard as we could. It's, you know, but it's just, the good news is you don't need you know, racing cats for the RS5. Nope, you just don't need it. We do offer some. A lot of people really insist on running them. So Now, once you get into, stage 3, it does make a difference. So the racing cats, are required for stage 3 power levels. But the stock turbos are small enough that you don't need them. Will you guys make a big brake kit for the B8? Yes, we are currently working on finalizing that, and it should be out soon. It'll be very similar to basically it'll be the B9 kit with the 8 piston, with our 034 8 piston calipers. While SüperDüper B9 exhaust tips and KLi-MAX merch are in development, we need 034 engineering protection to deal with the onslaught of MILFS. 034 driving gloves will keep us from catching cooties. That's a good idea. Very good. I'm sorry about all the MILFs. Just try to enjoy it. It's a good way to live life. Don't worry about the life you want. Appreciate the life you have. And if it's MILFs, onslaught of MILFs, then best to just enjoy that.
Probably reason the Steg was always in his driver's gear. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Safety first.
What are your thoughts on titanium intakes? Is it worth the extra dough? I'm aware of one company that does these. I think it's kind of silly. I don't know why you would need to make an intake out of titanium.
It's another material choice. I mean,
but a very expensive.
It is. It's usually a tougher one to work with, and it's not a cheap material.
Yeah, there's no reason to make an intake out of titanium. Titanium is a material that's used in applications where you need a steel-like material that's high strength, very high strength, very low weight, and can deal with very high thermal loads, but it's very brittle. So it's a wonderful material. You could make an intake out of tungsten carbide. Doesn't mean you should. So no, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's the big question. Yeah, I guess the worth the dough is really where it comes into it.
If it was cheap and you like the look of titanium in your intake, then great.
Yeah, or if that look is worth whatever the dough difference is to you, and that's an option. But I mean, as far as a functional standpoint,
I'm not here to talk about opinions.
Yeah, that's all subjective. But there's not a functional difference that material choice would give you.
No, if you were an engineer evaluating all the materials to use to create an intake at a certain price point that people would feel comfortable on, and justifying the material choice with the price, titanium wouldn't be on your list. Plastic, fiberglass, carbon fiber, aluminum, maybe. These are like sensible materials because they meet all the design criteria for an intake while being affordable to the end user. So, but anyways, I would recommend getting something made from plastic, or we use carbon fiber because it looks cool. It's light. It's good at insulating, and it's cheap. Our S34 intakes are some of the most affordable price points on the market. And the MILFs love it. I don't think MILFs like titanium very much, but I want to tune my S4. Is it worth going stage 1 if I'm going to eventually want stage 2, or should I stage 2 right away?
We don't. There's no extra tax if you want to do it piecemeal. Right. So no, you can incrementally walk it up and just do stage 1, and then later you're only paying for the difference to go to stage 2 or whatever difference you're looking to run.
You can do whatever you want, but I strongly recommend doing stage 1 and enjoying that. And then, like Nate said, you can just pay the incremental marginal price difference for the next stage and move up. But this way you can enjoy each stage and you won't be skipping. So it's kind of like, if you're having a 5-course dinner, enjoy each course because you're paying for it anyways.
Yep.
Is E85 okay to run full time on my B9 S4 as a daily, and it won't ruin the fuel system lines, etc.? Correct.
We have not to date seen any fuel system component issues on going back Mark 7 that we really started running a bunch of E85 and stuff.
This used to be kind of an issue back in like the mid 2000s. Certainly.
I want to say it was probably like not even a European market issue where the cars didn't really have components.
But I remember, you know, in the mid 2000s when E85 started getting popular, there was a lot of concern over E85 compatibility because nobody really knew, and nobody had really run E85 for a long time. Certainly, if you go back to Audis from the 80s, Volkswagens and Audis from the 80s and into the early 90s, those cars are not E85 compatible, which means they have fuel system components that can corrode, like the fuel lines going from the gas tank to the engine compartments are mild steel, which is fine for gasoline because gasoline doesn't contain water in it. But E85 is part water. You know, it's alcohol in it, so which is water soluble. So those, it stands to reason that those older cars could and would see corrosion issues long term from being exposed to water on the inside of their lines. But starting in the kind of the B5 era, and especially once the factories started doing E85 themselves, so you have a number of Audi models going, you know, back to like 10 years ago that were flex fuel, that were E85 compatible. All these cars now for years have had fuel systems that are anti-corrosive. So the fuel lines are nylon. The fuel pump itself is, you know, a coated or anodized protected aluminum. The fuel rails are stainless steel. The fuel injectors have stainless steel internals. So Audis and Volkswagens have been E85 compatible for at least 20 years now, you know, maybe 30 years. And we're now in an aftermarket community where you have companies like us and dozens of other companies and arguably millions of aftermarket enthusiasts who have been running E85 consistently for 20 plus years. So there's zero concern for E85 compatibility. I'm not sure why this concern still persists or who's kind of spreading it, but I have never heard of one Audi or Volkswagen in 20 years that has had any issues with corrosion running E85 full time. I've run E85 full time in my car for 6 months. We have a number of staff members who have been running E85 on and off for 10 years in their cars. So
There are some other considerations. You know, if E85 is going to sit, if your car is going to sit for like 6, 8, 12 months at a time, then there's, you know, considerations there with just E85 in general in any car. The fuel can not weather as well as like gasoline, but using it day to day it's not an issue.
Any questions we should prioritize? I mean, we're getting more questions
a lot of questions
every week than we ever have. There's no way we can get to all of them.
Just hit it. Received.
I'd have to talk like one of those auction guys.
Yeah.
Does 034 support current MPI for the 3.0 T platform, or would you have to go elsewhere for tuning?
We are working on our own implementation, being that in order to do it correctly, it needs to be integrated with the stock ECU. So there's not a lot of options out there to do that right now. So we worked with another company when they were, you know, we're developing in parallel a system that's working quite well to do that, and that's going to be rolling out. But it's not, you know, the existing MPI stuff. A lot of the stuff that's on the market right now is a you could call it a dumb system, where it's just another controller living alongside the ECU, providing some amount of fuel. You have to hope it's getting there and it's working correctly.
Yeah.
Whereas we're doing it in a way that is much more tightly integrated. You know when that controller is injecting fuel. You know if that controller is injecting fuel. You tell that controller how much fuel to inject from the stock ECU, and it's all a closed loop system. So that's the way we're going to support MPI.
Yeah, we want to do it better than how anyone else is doing it.
Not just to do it better, but to do it the right way.
Yeah, just because someone says their tune supports MPI doesn't mean they're doing it the right way, or a way that's safe for long-term use. I just purchased your 207mm pulley, stage 2 tune, and heat exchanger. Thank you very much. I already installed the cold air intake. Should there be anything else I should consider soon for 2013 S5? Well, you got a lot of good parts. There's our high-pressure fuel pump. I don't know if you're going to need that.
Yeah, what else? Yeah, inserts are super easy.
Definitely inserts are a great option. And then suspension components like our springs, sway bars. very, very transformative
Yep.
to that car. So yeah, I mean, just check out our whole catalog.
The catalog goes deep, so yeah, there's lots of things you can consider. I mean, from wheels to brakes to you name it.
Yeah, and I'm glad we can help out so far. That's good to hear. When does the sale end? It ends tonight at midnight. So you have just
Midnight Pacific,
Correct.
yeah. But we're in California, so
3
Pacific
a.m.
time.
3 a.m. East Coast, and
Mhm.
whatever time it is we're hailing from.
Zulu time.
Yeah, and then it's just the slow roll to the end of the year. I'm currently saving up to purchase your catted downpipe for my B9 S4. What upgrade turbo should I go with? TT 710 or Pierce 750? They're both great options. The Pierce 750 is going to produce more power,
Yeah, bang for the
more,
buck's gonna
more
be a little
peak
better.
power. So I think the Pierce 750 is more popular now than the 710. Kind of that now it's the between the 750 and the 810. However, the 710 is a great stage 3 option.
710's good.
It's proven to be a really reliable option, and it's just a little less power and stress on the system. So it's something to consider. The price point's lower.
Yeah,
as
I would say though the 750 is going to get you currently at least more options off the bat for tuning
Yeah.
as well. We've got
Oh,
low
yeah.
output, high output, so you can even have a if you want a low stress, more efficient
Yeah.
system, you can run our standard output 5.
And it is about the same price as a 710.
Yeah.
TTEs tend to have more turbo noise. Compared to pure.
Oh, okay.
So that's
If you
good.
want- if you want some more noise,
Oh, turbo noise is very good.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But
Interesting.
just if you like spool noises.
Yeah.
fair enough.
Would the RS5 Dynamic Plus work on a 2020 S6 C8?
It is its own tune. Those are their own controllers, their own part numbers, their own software. There's some differences in there. It is something we are looking at flushing out though.
C7 A6 3.0T, at what stage does the factory intake throttle body hinder performance become a detriment? Yeah, the stock intake is a restriction.
Not on the C7. It's not as bad as the B8, but it is not great.
Definitely by stage 2 power levels, you'd want to do it. The throttle body is a restriction at higher RPMs. So, kind of above 6,000 RPM is where you're going to see that restriction. So, yeah, at all the stage levels, you're still going to make the same power with the stock throttle body up to around 6,000 RPM, 5,500 to 6,000. And then, as logic would dictate, the higher RPMs are where the engine needs that additional flow, and that's where the SüperDüper throttle body helps. So, but yeah, the factory intakes are decent for stage. Please build a PCV relocation for the supercharged community. That is something we have our sights on and are working on. Thank you for the additional feedback. Are we going to see any QOL products for CREC upgraded
quality of life?
Upgraded PCV, water pump, etc. Possibly PCV. We're definitely working on a number of applications for all Audis. The water pump, I understand the factory usually fixes that.
Yeah, I don't
quickly.
know that that's an ongoing issue.
Yeah,
with the newest stuff.
I think there's some revisions that solve that. Can I go stage 2 on a Mk8 GTI with no TCU tune?
You can. We are also very shortly dropping the. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to step on marketing's toes. Whatever we're going to call the stock TCU full torque files are dropping very soon as well.
I think that's
you wrote the product page or the tune.
I did on the server. It's not live yet though, so it's subject to change.
I think we're going to call it the camel torque file.
Oh,
holy!
See, that was not on my list.
That's pretty good, actually. Write that down.
Yeah.
I just wrecked.
And Nick is in the fetal position.
B9A4, how is drivability with the ECU tune, but without the TCU tune? And what do you feel the horsepower torque limits are?
So I'm assuming this is like a locked TCU or one of the G2 TCUs. Drivability is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's still very good.
It's going to be at least as good as factory.
Yeah.
with additional power.
Lots more power. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's not really noticeable that it's the TCU is not tuned. You don't get all the benefits, of course, of the tuned TCU file with the shifting and launch control stuff and
Yeah.
all that. But it's pretty seamless.
So the one, listen, more torque is better. Everyone likes that, but I will say there is one side benefit of the lower torque file is that you get that more normally aspirated.
These are all
band
feel.
Unlocked.
There's no low
They're
torque.
unlocked?
Yep, these are all.
Oh, okay.
They're all. There's no cap on the torque on those.
Okay, so it's making
for the
torque.
B9.5 so it's a little different than the Mk8. So
Okay.
you're getting all the power still.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You get a much more. So there's a tuning strategy, like the Mk8 and some of the other files. If it is a locked TCU with the low torque file, the driving feel is, I'd say, a very rewarding one in that you've got a very flat torque band all the way to redline. It's the same. So it's just this constant ramp of horsepower all the way.
So and obviously not applicable to the B9, but the acceleration is a sensation that you feel. Like there's physics acceleration, but when acceleration is on a linear rate of increase, the perception is better than when there's a rapid rate of acceleration that levels off. So we perceive the increase in rate as going faster and faster and faster, where when the rate is very linear, then we feel that initial surge of acceleration, but we kind of acclimate to it pretty quickly. So that's the nice thing about the files that have flat torque is you get that ramp of acceleration all the way to redline, as opposed to just the surge and then you're just kind of...
Even though that ramp at redline is the same as what it is, at redline on the the lower torque file, you had a bunch more earlier that you have kind of settled into.
Yeah, it'd be sort of like eating a dessert that slowly gets sweeter over the 1 minute that you're eating it, versus a different dessert that's as sweet as it's ever going to be the first bite, and then stays the same level of sweetness. They both end at the same level of sweetness, but how you perceive it is different.
Sure.
Edges you, one doesn't.
Yeah, it's edging. Definitely the edging acceleration. That could be another product.
EdgeMax.
With the max edge file.
EdgeMax, KLi-MAX EdgeMax. That's it. How much longer before the S34 intakes for the RS5 start to ship out? I believe we have a estimated ship date on the web page, and that's still accurate. That's monitored by the marketing and customer service team.
December is what it is.
Yeah, I think mid to late December is what we've been saying. So
getting there.
Our goal is always beat that and set your expectation, but beat it. So stay tuned, and maybe Christmas will come early this year. Do I need a dog bone mount for Stage 2 Mk8 GTI?
Generally, you need them stuck. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movement and floppiness going on down there.
They have surgeries for that.
I'm just saying, if it's an issue, you can fix it. We got the parts.
Wow, I lost my train of thought. Yes, you should get one. It's recommended. You don't need it, but like Nate said, the level of floppiness does not get any better with age.
Does not improve. No, the more you're asking of it.
Gravity is a cruel mistress. Does the ResX pipe on the SQ5 sound good without a Stage 1 tune as well? Yeah, the ResX products have less to do with the tune and more to do with the sound of the exhaust coming out of the engine.
Yep.
And what I think what you're referring to is as you make more boost and as the engine produces more power, there's more exhaust energy. So the sound of the exhaust tends to get louder as you go up in tuning and power. However, the ResX works just fine on stock power. There's plenty of exhaust there to work with. I recently reflashed my B8.5 S4 6-speed to your Stage 193 race file and saw the left foot braking. What is that?
That is an option to just what it says on the tin is under acceleration. You can also tap the brakes with the left foot. Normally that's track or very specific driving style. If you're on like corner entry and you don't want to unsettle the car, or you want to have as least weight transition with the acceleration, so you're slowly rolling off the gas, but maybe you need a little bit of rotation, so you can get a little bit of brake dab in there to kind of settle and bite the front end. So it's a more advanced or specific driving style.
You can look up left foot braking on the internet, Google it, and
but it's a vehicle dynamics thing on corner entry.
Not recommended for the street.
Not recommended for the street typically. No.
It also allows you to, load up the engine and release the power from the engine at exactly the moment, as opposed to having a little bit of lag. Not that the
other is more applicable with turbo stuff, but
the supercharged motor
get up and go.
is very responsive and doesn't need that. But in a turbo motor, you can spool up the turbo as you enter the corner, and as you exit, you want to accelerate again, you lift off the brake. So you're braking and loading up your engine at the same time. So something to play with and read about. That's part of what's fun about doing this stuff, guys, is it is about learning, right? And so you're developing a new skill, you're gaining a new area of expertise, and we're here to help you. But reading and researching this stuff is really rewarding. And when you get together with your family at Christmas, you can talk to them about KLi-MAX,
wax poetically about
camel toe, tunes, and the suction bundles, and just let your mom know about all this stuff. She's going to really appreciate your new area of expertise. Next falling apart again. Thoughts on why the B9.5 doesn't have an auxiliary heat exchanger, and does it impact the reliability with Stage 1 tune, assuming the intercooler has been upgraded? Yeah, so there's warm weather versus cold weather packages from the factory. And we have a product that allows you to add that to a car that does not come with it from the factory. I think generally on Stage 1 on the street, there's no reliability concerns. But we do see and hear about cars in warmer weather and hotter months running, full power output, for longer periods of time, say like on a track, accelerating for 20, 30 minutes. You're going to see that if you're on the street, but you have a Cayenne or a Dragon's Tail that you want to drive, and that's 20, 30 minutes of driving, you're going to need some type of auxiliary cooling as well.
It's nothing new. They've done this for I don't know how many generations ago, way back, where you've got different regions will get different cooling packages and some slightly different configurations depending on the climates.
Mk8 GTI adjustable rear sway bar is on the way, but can't decide if I should get the spherical end links or the end links with bushings, daily driving, and road course track days. In general, we recommend the Dynamic Plus end links, which was the second option you described. These allow the adjustable length, and they reduce the amount of compliance. They're made from metal, so they'll last and hold up to the additional forces. And so, yeah.
Well, they're much more robust.
I would recommend just doing the Dynamic Plus. Which one?
3 and 4. I think it's
Will there be another sale this year for Christmas, or is this the last sale of the year? No, we've never had a Christmas sale before. I think last year we did a sale on tuning around Christmas.
so you're seeing
We reserve the right to have a sale if we want to offer that benefit for customers, or we're trying to hit a certain sales goal. However, generally I would not expect it. We currently do not have any plans to do it, and our sale is still going. So hope you can jump in. We even offer, I know some people think this is predatory lending or whatever, but we do offer a firm, and we added a 0% financing option recently. So I think if you pay it off within whatever it is, 3 months, it's 6 months, 0% financing. I think they're just hoping that enough people will not pay it off in 6 months, and then they'll get nailed, right? But if you know you can afford it within the next 3-4 months, jump on the firm 0%. That's kind of a no-brainer. I use a lot of 0% financing stuff just to just because why not? I have one for 18 months on a big screen TV. I just pay $50 a month
Right,
for
it's
18
0%,
months and
it's just
0%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So, anyways,
more on the or on the
yeah, if it's just
interest
timing,
rate.
financial timing thing, consider that. I think we also offer PayPal financing options as well. But also got your flashing tool, stage 1 ECU and TCU tunes absolutely transformed the car. Wonderful. See, there it is, transformed. Ordered on Wednesday night, was here on Friday, USA to UK. Insane service, guys. Thanks. You're very welcome. Glad we can help. Our shipping teams have been amazing this year.
Yeah, and that's like the busiest we've been
It
ever,
is.
and you're still getting your stuff in.
Literally, we've shipped more packages in the last 2 weeks than we ever have before. So, but we had great inventory coming into this period. We still do, and good staffing and systems and processes. So it's been good.
Yeah.
All this talk of edging makes me think we are on the verge of a KLi-MAX Goon-Tune. What's a Goon-Tune?
Talk about that off air.
This like some new Giat.
That's what the B9 community is asking for, the ALC stuff.
Oh, okay. Anything else you want to jump? Did we really get through all the questions?
I mean, there's some rolling, and we can't get to anything.
We did.
We got a lot of them. Yeah, we did pretty good.
How many inches long are your new wind deflectors? About this long? What is that? About 6-7 inches?
6 to 8 inches ish.
6 to 8.
Industry standard.
Depends how cold it is outside. How to check if a vehicle is tuned already?
You're always free to ping us, just tuning at 034motorsport.com. We can check VINs. You will have to provide proof of ownership of the vehicle. We don't do it just for any car out there if you don't own it. Yeah, we're happy to take a look for you.
All right, I think that's it. We're out of time here.
All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. I think.
Yeah, I want to go over schedules and
I
stuff.
think
Coming up.
we'll shoot for next week. But wait, is it no?
No. Yeah, we got. Hold on.
Okay. All right. Cheers. See you guys next week.